Hi, a great morning, everyone. Welcome to Coaching Think Talk. I am Coach Presca from the Life Coach Philippines. I am a certified life and mental health coach. I am a full time government employee, and life coaching is my lifestyle. This is coaching for radical service, and this coaching conversation is for individuals who desires to remain productive, high performer, and who wishes to continue finding meaning in what he or she does in spite of the challenges in the workplace. My mission is to touch one life at a time, with a prayer that this person will in turn um, would want to touch also one life at a time, who will support and who will make it his or her mission to create a workplace supportive of one's mental health and well-being. So today, I would like to talk about how to control emotions during difficult conversations. More often than not, it's either we flight, we fight. Now, we don't need to flight or fight. We have the option to stay in control. And that's what I'm going to talk about this morning. And this talk is based on the article of Amy Gallo. Amy Gallo is a contributing editor of Harvard Business Review, and she's the author of the HBR Guide to Dealing with Conflict. We know that when we are in the middle of conflict, it's common to automatically enter into a flight or fight mentality. But as I have said earlier, we don't need to choose either of the two. It is actually possible to interrupt this response and clear a path towards entering into a more productive discussion. But before I proceed any further, I would like first and foremost to thank you for joining me today in this episode of Coaching Think Talk. So please leave us your digital footprints by letting us know where you're coming from today. Also, please tag a friend and circulate this video so we can reach as many individuals who might need of what I will be sharing this morning. And also, please do share your aha moment or your pack my bag moment uh, by typing it in the chat box so that you will be able to bless others. Likewise, you can give a shout out to persons or your friends who you want to greet and reach out with inspiring message or messages. And if you are watching this on replay, please do type or comment a hashtag replay. And I am streaming this morning via Facebook page of Life Coach Philippines and YouTube channel of Coach AI Connect. If you are new in this platform, please like and subscribe. All right. So I would like to ask you two questions, particularly when you are in the workplace or even in your personal relationships. Have you had any conversation which you may call as difficult conversations? So what are these conversations which we refer to as difficult conversation? It could be uh, in the line of work that I have, where I have to be talking with partners, to discuss with stakeholders Somehow, sometimes I am placed in a difficult conversation. I refer to them as difficult conversations because there is a clash of minds. So there is different opinions, and sometimes we have some kind of a strong stand of our own point of view. So the conversations becomes difficult, and sometimes what we want to achieve is not achieved. So when we are in this difficult situation, what is it that we normally do? What about you? What do you normally do when you are in this situation? You can type your answer in the chat box. Well, as for myself, when I was younger, I would say when I was uh, new in the government service, I can recall that I really fight. I really fight so that I'll be able to get across what I mean. I will be able to stand on my point of view. But then, as years pass, maybe we become wiser. Uh, I make it to a point that my emotions don't get the better of me, so that the situation will not intensify or will not become uh, an argument rather than discussion. So um, the thing is, it is hard to get worked up emotionally when we are in a tense conversation. What normally bring us to this difficult conversation? Oftentimes, it is disagreements that leads to difficult conversation. And when there are disagreements, it becomes a threat. Like we suddenly become defensive, isn't it? Maybe because we are afraid that we have to give up on our point of view. We have to give up on the things that we are fighting for. So the tendency is we become worked up emotionally. And remember that this is a normal response. Human as we are, this is a normal response. Physically, our body change. So our body ramps up for a fight by triggering the sympathetic nervous system. So, kumbaga automatic yan, yung utak natin sasabihin, oops, you protect yourself. So we become worked up. So as I've said, this is a normal response, but the problem is that our bodies and minds uh, will not become discerning anymore when at the middle of conversation we become so emotionally worked up, and we are not able to discern anymore that the person what the person really is trying to talk to you about is not about you, but rather it could be about the project. So our brain could not anymore differentiate that what is being discussed is the project, or our brain would just tell us that we are being attacked, or uh, and thus we become uh, triggered, and we become that becomes a trigger, and we become defensive. So what happened? What happened uh, physically? Our heart have I wonder if you have experienced this, but then I had just a, as I've said, I have a project that in a meeting really You can feel your heart beating fast. Our heart rate would spike, like our our heart rate and our breathing rate becomes high, and our muscles becomes tightened. I have even an experience that I will have a stomach spasm, and the blood in our body moves away from our organs, and that we become uncomfortable. So what happened when we are in this situation? We become, we get into the mode of flight or flight mode. So uh what happened here? Oops, that's very slow. The flight or flight mode is referred to as amygdala hijack. I like that term, amygdala hijack. This term is what is coined by Dan uh, Coleman. So he called that fight or flight mode moment as amygdala hijack, wherein we lose access to the prefrontal cortex of our brain. So there is that part of our brain which is responsible for rational thinking. So when we are emotionally worked up, yes, we do not become any more rational. So, and making rational decision is precisely what we need to do in difficult situation or in difficult conversation, isn't it? But how can we become uh, rational when when what is prominent in our emotion is either we fight or we just give up, and so we walk out. So it's a fight and flight mode. And we are not able to think clearly, therefore. And chances are it's not only us, isn't it? So if it is a conversation, chances are we are talking with someone or we are talking with a group of people, and the people around us would notice our fight and flight mode, and that we are in this irrational thinking moment, where that moment can be used by them against us. So what happened when we are in this fight or flight mode? As I have said earlier, because our heart rate and our breathing rate spike, it increases. So our faces could be red. You can feel that your ears would be somehow, hot. Have you experienced that when we are emotionally charged? Mainit ang ating tenga, di ba? Umiinit ang tenga. So that's why it has become like, naku, umiinit ang tenga ko. So meaning you are almost like ready to fight anyone who would cross your path. And the pace of your speech become, fast. You speed up your speech, and because of the mirror neurons. This is the first time actually I came across with the term mirror neurons that cause us to catch up the emotion of another person. So it means like these mirror neurons trigger the person that we're talking with to have also that heightened emotion that they may also be in a fight or flight mode. So could you imagine yourself? You are in a meeting and you are presenting something, and then suddenly someone would raise his or her hand and passionately oppose what you are presenting. Automatically, human as we are, we would have definitely, you know, um, make explanation, justify, and fight for our position. And so both of you would have now this are, you are likely to start to have the same feeling. So could you imagine the two of you uh having that worked up emotion? So it's either uh you fight or you fight, because as I've said, we lose access to the frontal cortex of the brain, which controls our rational uh, thinking. So before we know it, the conversation has derailed, and the conflict will intensify. Therefore, nothing is achieved. We just keep on, uh, fighting for what we stand for. We that's what I hear. We fight tooth for a tooth for our point of view. But that is counterproductive, isn't it? And in my experience, because we usually work virtually, what I normally do, I just, turn off my video, and I even turn off my audio. I just don't want to hear anymore. So I am uh, in a flight mode. But at the end of the day, it gives me no satisfaction on at all. It gives me rather a frustration and disappointment. And I would just say, I'll better stop this. And therefore, the mission that we would want to fulfill is blurred. So, this morning, we are going to talk about ways to manage our emotions so that we will not be in that situation where we get so worked up, and the purpose of the discussions and the meeting will be fulfilled. I mean, will not be fulfilled because we get so worked up. Very simple. This is what Amy Gallo had said. 5 things. Let us breathe, focus on our body response. Let us try saying a mantra. Fourth, let us acknowledge and label our feelings. And last, let us take a break. Let's talk about this one at a time. Yeah. So I would like to use my experience just lately when we at the middle of the project that we are doing. Suddenly, uh there was this comment that just triggered not only me but the rest of the team. And it really hit some kind of hot button in me, because I said, how can I be accused of something when the very thing that I'm doing is something that I am very passionate about, and is something that I invest my time, my emotions, my talent, and I've said, and I spend so much of my neurons. And then at the back of my mind, I've said, if I really fight, nothing will be achieved. So it's good to breathe. Simple. By breathing, actually, it's a simple mindfulness technique that we can have. Just breathe. Let us just breathe. So this simple mindfulness technique can be our best friend in when we are in a very uh, intense situation, and none is more straightforward and accessible than using our breath. Uh, so when you start noticing yourself getting tense, try to focus on your breathing. So that's what I've noticed. So when I am so worked up, I can feel really my breathing is like like I don't almost breathe at all. I talk so fast. So when we are in this situation, let us notice the sensation of air coming in and out of our lungs. Feel it pass through our nostrils or down at the back of our throat. This will, you know, take our attention off the physical signs of panic, and not only panic, but that like being defensive, and will help us keep centered. So some mindfulness experts suggest counting your breath will help. All we need to do is just maybe count when we inhale one, then exhale, then two. So we can maybe count 1 to 6 depending on how fast you can recover. Uh, the thing is, we just need to breathe and then count. And it will help us start all over again. So there you go. Very easy. Let us just breathe, therefore. So, like when we are so tense and panicky, the first thing really to do is to breathe. Then, second, uh, let's focus on our body. Let's focus on on how our body respond to the situation where we are in. Huh. The thing is, when we are in a meeting or when we are talking with someone, chances are we are sitting down. And when we are seated, it's actually difficult, a difficult conversation that can make the emotion build up. Kasi nakaupo ka lang. But then, uh, the good thing if you are in a virtual meeting or conversation, maybe you can just turn off your video and ensure you have a very nice photo instead, and that's what they can see. uh Try standing up. Experts say that standing up and walking around helps to activate the thinking part of our brain. If you and that person you are talking with are seated at the table, of course it's not just in a face-to-face situation. It's not easy to stand up. So maybe you can say, uh, I need to stretch up, allow me to stand up. So we can politely say that, and maybe tell the person, would you mind if I stand up and go out, and walk for a little bit. And if you are not still comfortable, you can do physical things like massaging your hands, or you know crossing your fingers, or just moving your feet. Anything, provided you are able to have a body movement. So, and then focus on how your body respond to it. um Mindfulness experts call this anchoring. So, it can work in all kinds of stressful situation. So, for example, for a long time, I am for a long time, every time I'm so worked up, when I was a bit younger, my tendency is to, in my, when I become angry, I just cry. But by practice, what I do is, instead of speeding up my speech, I try to slow down. So my friends would know that somehow I am already emotionally worked up, because they can tell that the way I speak is already calculated. I try, and it worked for me. I talk a little bit slower than my usual uh, pacing when I talk. So that's what I normally do. So that's what we mean by anchoring. So we focus on our body, and in that manner, we will be able to get out of that difficult conversation situation. So that's the second. Third, try saying a mantra. I remember in one of the, I think that was health and wellness program at the workplace. Master Coach A uh, taught us of a breathing exercise, and then at the same time, there was a mantra, like when you breathe in love, and then breathe out hate, something like that. Or depending on what the situation you are in that particular moment, when you become so worked up, maybe you can just while the person is talking, and it is triggering you, it is pushing some kind of hot buttons in you, you can you can maybe repeat over and over again by saying, this is not about me, this too will pass, or this is just business, this is just work, this is nothing personal, or whatever mantra you have that normally work. So this, personally, I do this when I am listening with someone, because automatically when I listen to someone whom I disagree, unfortunately, I tend to rebut silently. And the more that I get so worked up, so it won't work when we rebut. It becomes so build up in us. So lately, I'm trying to use this technique, saying a mantra. And then at the same time, I'm trying to understand where the person is coming from. So it prevents me from getting so worked up during conversations or meetings. So it does work. Why don't you try when you are in that particular difficult conversation situation? And third, I mean fourth, acknowledge and label your emotion. So when we are in this particular situation, uh when you are feeling emotional, our attention to we give to our thoughts and feelings, become clouded. It crowds our mind, and that's why I've said we become irrational. There's no room for examination anymore, isn't it? Like we just go on and on and on. That's why we, in the end, like we rant. So to distance that from that uh, feelings, we need to label that feelings. Uh, I had this experience lately, and so I've said, you know what? I am hurt. You hurt my feelings, and I am sad. I said, I am sad that why are you telling all these things just now when in fact we have provided you the document for your review, and then when we receive it, you did not give us the feedback that you are giving us now. So I said, why only now? By saying I am sad and you hurt me and you're hurting me, uh, I I I was able to process my thoughts a little bit more rational, because it allowed me to take a pause. You know, so call a thought, and an emotion an emotion. So because so when we are feeling emotional, our thought and feelings g- get, so mixed up, and we are not able anymore to distinguish which is which, and that leads to hysterics, isn't it? So according to Susan David, uh, labeling emotions like this allows you to see your thoughts and feelings for what they are, transient sources of data that may or may not prove helpful. When you put that space between these emotions and you, it's easier to let them go and not just bury them and let them explode. Ha! For 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 how many decades I've been in the government, I've encountered all types, all shapes, all colors of personality. And often than not, what they say around counters with what I say. As I've said in the earlier in my early days in the government, um, I just clumped up, but I found out that it isn't good because it becomes pent up emotions, and at just a little trigger, I explode. I tend to, there were moments that even papers and folders would just fly because I'm so emotionally worked up. And of course, people would think bad of you as a person. Now, rather, when I acknowledge that I am hurt and I am almost angry, so I label my feelings, uh, I am able to distinguish what I am thinking from what I am feeling. And I become more centered. Okay? So, although this is easier said than done, isn't it? Because you are so emotionally worked up, and then you say, "But I am right. He is wrong," and you cannot just give up when you know that the person is wrong. So what should you do? What I normally say is, hindi lahat ng laban pinapatulan. Just, you have also to save yourself. Remember that it's not only you that who is emotionally worked up. The person in front of you, the person you are conversing with, is also emotionally worked up. So, and that is beyond your control. However, we can control and manage our emotion, right? So let's acknowledge and label that feelings that we are at the moment going through, right? So, and the fifth, is let's take a break. Can be a literal one, you know. Uh, I have been using this take a break, and it's good also when we are uh, having a meeting or having a conversation online because we can really say let's take five, let's take five, and not although I wonder with you, but when you are at the middle of a difficult um, conversation, we cannot just say relax, relax, take it easy. Have I wonder if you have that experience, because lately I had that experience that they would tell me that, and you know what is my response? The more that I am so worked up, like, hey, you got to listen to me, let me finish. And that's what would I say, uh, because and if the person you're talking with is the one who is emotionally worked up, you cannot just tell them also that relax because I am pretty sure the person would also will not listen to you, isn't it? The tendency is they become more not just defensive, but they become aggressive. So we can propose to take a break. uh, Amy Gallo said that in her experience, taking a break is a far underused approach. The more time you give yourself to process your emotions, the less intense they are likely to be. So taking a break really helps a lot. So when things get heated, you may need to excuse yourself for a moment, um, get a cup of coffee or a glass of water. You go to the bathroom. You can take a brief, just a brief walk inside the office or wherever you are. And be sure to give yourself some kind of neutral reason for why you want to, to pause from the conversation. Because as I've said earlier, the last thing you want is for the counterpart to think that things are going so badly that you are desperately you are so desperate to escape. So they might construe that taking a break is our way of you know escaping from the situation. So uh maybe we can say, I am sorry to interrupt you, but it would be it would be good to, or maybe I would love to have a glass of water, and then I'll come back to you, rather than just saying, oops, let's take a break. So this is what I mean by saying not, saying not so nice things in a nicest way. uh, or you can maybe tell the person, if you are face to face, can I also get you something for you to drink? The tone of our voice do matters a lot when we say something. And you know what? That's one of my weaknesses, because I am a passionate person, and my tendency is for my voice to be in a high octave. But what I am practicing is to talk in a slower manner, and the tone of my voice is controlled. So, very simple things. It's there for us to do. Definitely, there are ways that will help us manage our emotions without giving up our point of view, without being disagreeable. we can still stand on the principle or on whatever it is that we would want to get across without being aggressive and without being uh, pathetic. Pathetic because we just, it's up to you. Like, just, it's up to you. Like, we don't care. Or, not pathetic, I think, but apathetic. So, because normally these are the two things that we do. We fight or flight. Uh, if we do either of the two, what we want to happen will definitely not happen, isn't it? So, for emphasis, these are the ways in which we can manage our emotion. First, let's breathe, focus on our body, which I said, do some body movement. Maybe while breathing, you can also at the same time say a mantra. You repeat a phrase that will help you recentered. Then acknowledge and label your feelings so that we'll be able to be focused that feelings are feelings. I mean, thoughts are thoughts and feelings are feelings. And lastly, let's take a break. Um, so with that, we have to remember or keep in mind that you're probably not only the one who is upset, di ba? Because you're talking with someone. So, maaring hindi lang tayo ang nagagalit. Our counterpart is maybe likewise expressing anger and frustration too. So, while we might tell them, to chill or what, it it may be construed as, you are making fun of them or you are patronizing them. So we might as well look into ourselves. And I know that I know and you know that controlling one's emotion is easier said than done, but it can be if we practice it. So it won't happen overnight. And at the end of the day, we have to ensure that we do not feed the person we are talking with negative emotions. With Kasi galit na nga sila tapos galit pa tayo. So it will likely, you know, be blown up into uh, not just an argument or maybe fight or anything can happen when everyone is in his or her heightened emotions. So what is it that we can do? Remember the five things, and then we should remember not to let our emotion distract distract us. Remember this: don't let your emotions distract you from doing what needs to be done. Control your emotions or your emotions will control you. I am sure you have heard of this, but easier said than done. So let us practice the five ways that I have shared with you. Uh, Let us breathe. Let's focus on our body. Let's try to say a mantra. Fourth, let us acknowledge and label that feelings, and then let's take a break. So I hope that I was able to share with you something that you can use when you are particularly in the workplace. Because let's face it, conflicts with coworkers Worst, if you have conflict with your boss, can be very, very tough. But you you are not going to solve the underlying issues or maintain a positive relationship if you barrel through the conversation when you are uh, completely worked up. So hopefully, these five techniques that I have shared with you will help you move from angry and upset to uh, someone who is cool as a cucumber. And as I end this conversation, let me invite you to be part of what we are doing as an organization of professional certified life coaches. Do join us later on today for another coaching conversation. Later this afternoon, we will have with us Coach Cherry for her coaching for lip formation, and also with Coach Rizel for coaching for purposeful living. And I would like also to invite you to Master Coach Coach A co-actively co-create life coach certification program. This is a 21-day online learning journey uh, with a 3-day live coaching boot camp with Master Coach A and 3-day live business boot camp with senior coaches, and a 1-day free membership in Coaching A Coaching Upskills Blueprint, website inclusion, and professional credentials and certificate of completion with online footprints. So, for further details and assistance, please do contact Coach Rizel through mobile number 0917 586 1661. And I would like also to thank my fellow coaches who are with me this morning and for the love and support. Once again, this is Coach Presca from Life Coach Philippines for coaching Think Talk coaches like us. Think and talk this like this. This is us from the Philippines. Uh, Thank you very much. Love, bam, boom. Bye, everyone. Thank you, and see you again next week for another coaching talk on with me on uh, as we journey through uh, through life. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.